It's been a few days. I made a video at the Mississauga Comic Expo. I uploaded it to TikTok, and then I uploaded the same video to my YouTube channel, and that's the only video I've done in a while. So it's been busy. I've been trying to get those bricks in the mail. That's taken some time, unfortunately. And I'm busy at work. I'm busy with my life and blah, blah, blah. So, but on my TikTok feed, because I was at the Mississauga Expo this weekend, Comic Expo this weekend, I uploaded a few TikToks. Only one of which made it to my YouTube channel. But some people out there in the TikTok universe were asking questions about how I did things. And I don't want to bore the people who are in my YouTube stream and have been around forever. Thanks, guys. Appreciate you. Really quick tangent. I always said I wouldn't say, hey, like and subscribe, because it's just not me. If you guys want to watch, you can watch. You know where I am. If you don't want to watch, that's also all right by me. I appreciate you, whatever decision you make. I'm not here for a paycheck. I'm not here for a job. I have a job that I actually do like most days. And I do this for fun, for my friends, to keep up. I made some new friends online just in my YouTube stream alone. And I like having conversations with them. Some people send me emails. It's fantastic. And some people just talk and chat. And some people don't say a word. So you do you. And I'm going to support you in the way you want to do things. But I also want to reiterate, I appreciate you. I appreciate that you watch. I appreciate that you spent time listening to me drone on about whatever I'm interested in at the time. Stream of consciousness most days. And so I don't want to take you guys for granted. I don't want you guys to think I don't care. I don't want you guys, because I'm not asking for likes and subscribes. I think that's a different category. And again, you like and subscribe if you so desire. You leave comments, you put thumbs up. I'm not asking you to. when I go to other people's videos and I like it, I click like. Whatever that means to them, that's what I do. If they say like and subscribe and I don't like it, I ain't liking and I ain't subscribing. So anyway, enough of that. I'm not going to go into my usual, I'm walking in this direction. If you want to walk with me, I'm happy to have you. Happy to walk beside you, talk about whatever you want to talk about. As you can see by my plethora, my litany, my never ceaselessly ending stream of videos, I do talk a lot. So I have stuff to talk about. But anyway, that note's done. I'm not going to go off on a 20-minute tangent about that. You do what you want to do. I'm here for you, whether you like and subscribe or not. But after the show, and I posted those videos in the TikToks, somebody was saying, hey, how did you do X, Y, and Z? And I said, oh, I have a YouTube video with that somewhere. And then I went looking for that YouTube video. And of course, I got bogged down in the litany, the ever-ending expanding of videos. So I said, screw it, I'll make a new one. Maybe this one will be better. Somewhere in my history, I think it was in the past year, I talked about making round circles, kind of redundant, circles out of the 4x9 wing plates. And because he was asking, or they were asking, I want to be very clear about this, I don't know. They were asking how I made the landing pads. And so I will give a quick, somewhat probably repetitive, for those who've heard it before, a quick introduction to my landing pad. Now, to get to this point, there's a little bit of a history, because BrickFest 2011, I showed up with a mostly complete tower. There's lots of it I didn't like. And it took me a year to get to the point where I actually didn't mind it as much as I, hated it. I didn't hate it. But it was if you go back, and you will have to go way back to 2011, you can see a video from BrickFest 2011, and you can see what the tower looked like then. And the tower looked like, and I'll get the wing plates out, because I should have thought about this. I was going to go off in these tangents. I'll grab a landing pad. Sometimes I have crappy landing pads after years of collecting. So way back in the day, 2011, my first landing pads consisted of, I think that was there. Yeah, it was there. And that one was, I should have built this before the video, but I'll waste your time. These are all the same side. It's honest, there we go. So basically I had these things all the way around, and then I filled in the gaps by putting other plates in here and doing the same thing in the bottom, and a Technic beam that was only 2 bricks wide, and that came across because this is pretty light even with the bricks on it. And then they were lit, but you can see all the wires in the bottom, which is fine. I drilled all the holes. Don't get mad at me for drilling holes, but I drilled all the holes, and you can see again if you look at the BrickFat 2011 pictures and video that I have back in the day, this is what I use for landing pads. And after that show, I said the tower basically took about over a year to get to that point where I had the base with the garages, and then the trans yellow domes sloping in, and then the upright, and then the diamond shape. So that was all there. And then the 4 landing pads, that was all there. And then it went to it had the observation deck, which is one of the things that I wanted in there, because again, not to go off on this tangent, but oh, where's my picture? I have my picture here somewhere. Yay! I just pull out the picture. So it had this part. It didn't have this part yet as the way it is. It just had like 4 spokes and a monorail track. It didn't have any kind of platform at all. It had the diamond, but again, the landing pads themselves were this guy. So look kind of, now when you look at it, look kind of chintzy. Like the tower itself had some robustness to it, and the landing pads look like meh. So, and it had the observation deck, and it had this little 16 wing cake topper. It didn't have the 8 wing cake topper up top. That didn't come till later, because I ended it there, and I put some radar dishes on top, and that was good enough for the show. So it was shorter, and but the entire center structure was all there to that guy. Again, the actual station, the actual plates weren't here for the guys to stand on. The monorail just went around here and went somewhere else with no stopping. This was not a station yet, a platform. And as I said, the landing pads were meh. So when I got home after BrickFat 2011, one of the very first things I did, and if you go on my Flickr stream, there's some pictures of it, is I started designing a better landing pad. And basically, right from the get-go, this is what I came up with. Now, originally, because I knew these things were so heavy, and we'll get into that in a sec as to why this thing is so heavy. These things were built right into the diamond shape. As a matter of fact, you can see the little slope down where the door is, the entranceway to the landing pad. That entranceway was right, I built it so it was right here. So part of this landing pad was right in the diamond. Even with these curved pieces, I built it so you can see that. It fit nicely, and that was to reinforce, because these things are stupid heavy, and so these things were built right into the diamond. So all 4 landing pads with Technic bricks all the way through. It was one big huge unit, one piece. So the diamond, 4 landing pads, and every time I did a show after that, I had to have that thing. There was no cardboard box that could hold it. It was like at least 3 feet across. Probably 4 feet across, right, with the landing pad sticking out. So it basically sat in the back of the van. I loaded up all the other boxes. Back then, the layout was carried in cardboard boxes, and all the cardboard boxes in there. And I would leave a spot, this 4-foot area, to put the diamond with landing pads. And I tried to keep it stationary as much as possible. I put boxes around it so the box would hold the landing pad secure. So because I come to a stop, I don't want the thing flopping over. And I was on our way to St. Jacobs once for a show there with that tower layout, and I can't remember what it was, but we were on the highway. We're on Highway 8 or whatever, 401, and I had to slam on my brakes. Not a shock in driving in Ontario, and this thing went flying, and it didn't smash to pieces, but it was pretty broken up by the time we got to St. Jacobs. And of course, it's not sitting on top of it, except for the floorboards of the van. And so the pieces were getting all the nooks and crannies because we have the stow and go seating, and it has a lot. So pieces were lost in the van. so I said, that's got to stop. So it limped its way through the show. I built it enough that it looked exactly what it was, landing pads and everything. But there's lots of pieces missing. And I said, when the show's done, and I don't know if that's one of the times I was there for weeks, but whatever. That's why I love St. Jacobs with Janie. It was there, and I said, I'm going to change that when we get home. And again, if you go to my Flickr channel, there's a whole bunch of pictures of how I had to take apart. And taking apart the diamond is not fun. Like, straight up is not fun. There's a lot of reinforcement inside. There's a lot of Technic beams inside. There's a lot of angles and whatever. I mean, it's all brick built, straight up. It's all 100% brick built. So you look at these guys with these ships now with all the funky angles coming in at 22.5 and 33 and all that stuff. Beautiful stuff. Nothing like that. This is all 100% brick. But you can see there's angles here, and of course these things were built into there, so I had to take all the Technic beams apart, and there's 2 layers of Technic beams separated by 2 plates, because that's old school brick, plate, brick, and reinforced vertically. So it was a mess. Basically, I had to build the diamond from the bottom up again, and then in my head figure out how to make the landing pads removable, as well as, because as I say, the landing pads were built right into the diamond, and the diamond ended here. Now the diamond's going to end, the entranceway is going to be back here somewhere. So now I had to figure out whereabouts, how far back can I go with the entrance, so I have like a causeway, a walkway, a plank, a walkway, causeway going from the entrance to the landing pad. And the farther out I wanted it, the worse it was going to get. I knew that, straight up, I knew that. But I wanted that Empire Strikes Back Cloud City effect, where the landing pad is way out there, and there's a causeway, a walkway going from the landing pad to the main building. And that was my inspiration for the landing pads in the first place, was Empire Strikes Back, as well as the... I keep slipping down. I think it's a little floor. You don't see it, but my laptop's falling off the table. So, as well as Peter Reed's Onasa Space. I wanted the landing pads out as far as I could make them, but be structurally strong enough that I could do a show and not worry about it. So I had them at least 8 studs out from the diamond itself is so strong that I didn't have to worry about the Technic beams inside, because you got the slope up with all the inverted slopes coming up to, and you can see here. So all the Technic beams inside here are all supported by this thing. So you can go straight to the doorway, the entranceway, and it's strong enough. But as soon as you get past that, there's nothing there holding it up except for Technic beams and plates. So, but I also had to make it so they're removable. So I had them 8 studs out, and I had the tower sitting here on the floor right beside me, and the tabletop is here, and I had the landing pad here, and I had the tower over there, and I was pushing this thing, you can't see, I was pushing this thing in and out and adding more and more length of beam, and then I would lift up the diamond, and this thing would just droop. Like it's stupid heavy. So I had to come up with I had to compromise. I had to sacrifice the distance away versus the structural integrity. But what I also noticed is that the farther away it looked, the dorkier it looked. It looked, using the word dorky, that's showing my old school, the stupider it looked, because it just looked like the tower and all of a sudden these 4 pads in the middle of nowhere. And also I thought that wasn't appropriate either. That looked really dorky. So I didn't like that. So I started bringing it back in, and I got basically the entranceway is right there. So it's not too shabby. It really isn't. So the circle is completely separated from the diamond, but it looks like it starts at the diamond, and that's perfect. I said, that's fine. I could have put it 2 or 4 out. I think that would change the dynamic of how it looks. It also, again, starts drooping more. So I built that, and it worked remarkably well for a bunch of shows, but I noticed after a few years of taking it apart and putting it together, taking it apart again, that the landing pads were really starting to droop. And even that yesterday's, sorry, on Sunday's show, well, it's yesterday, yesterday's show, the landing pads are droopy. And I was talking to a couple guys who obviously know their engineering, because they talk about cantilevers and flying buttresses and blah, blah, blah. They were talking about how to reinforce this to make it better. And they're talking about, you know, Lego wire coming down from the top, but then that would interfere with the landing pad. And stuff coming up from the bottom, which is, I did that for a little bit and it looked good, but it was too big and bulky and it took away from the aesthetic, I said, of the actual tower, because these things have to look like they're floating because it's futuristic and something heavy should not be an issue. So for now, they're not drooping any more than they were before. They're just a little droopy, and I am trying to come up with something using my 24L. At least these guys, these stupid long axles. I'll have to get more. I got, I think, 4 now because they just got washed. They haven't been sorted in yet. I'm going to try some experiments. I'm going to pull out the diamond. I'm going to set this thing up and see if I can have something coming up from the diamond to here. That's my plan to stop the droop, but overall, it's not drooping anymore. The issue still is that these things are stupid heavy. And now I'll show you why they're stupid heavy. and somebody asked me, this is again part of this discussion, so it's not a tangent. Somebody asked me if I had this in a file somewhere in case, you know, the house burns down and I have to rebuild it from scratch. I mean, I could build the entire thing from my head. I built it enough times because again, I had to rebuild it so many times, running the wiring and changing it and modifying it. I'm pretty confident that I could rebuild the whole thing, but I did CAD the entire tower at one point. As on one of my older laptops, I just don't know which one and I can't find it right now, and I haven't actually actively looked for it, but I have CAD'd the entire thing. So I'm going to take this EL wire off for now because it's just going to get in the way if I can without breaking it. So brick separator. Pop that off. Okay, so at one point in my history with these landing pads, this is the EL wire that goes around the top. Get rid of this, get this out of the way. This is taking up space, getting in my shot, wrecking my shot. There we go. At one point for transporting, when we were doing the cardboard boxes, basically what I would do is I would pop these things off and pop these things off here on the ends and pop this off and just store it separately. So this is one part of the landing pad and this is the other part of the landing pad. Now this is just, and we'll kind of zoom in while we got this thing apart. This is 36, well 35 because of, 36 because the 36 is right there on the landing pad. There's 36 4x9 wing plates. And they are the wing plates that came in the 90s, and they're in a lot of planes that look like that. That's the wing plate, 4x9. And if you have 36 of them in a circle, using the 1x4 hinge pieces, like that, see the hinge piece, 36 of those, you make a circle. And that circle is perfectly the diameter of the inside of a monorail circle. If you put 4 pieces of round curved monorail track together, this thing fits perfectly inside of that. This thing is uncanny, fits perfectly inside. So you can see that's my monorail stations and other things. So Lego geometry blows my mind. So I don't know if they did that on purpose or if I discovered it, whatever, but it works perfectly. So if you want a monorail station, that's going to be a space station. If you want a monorail station that's circular, going along the curved track, 4x9 wing plates with 1x4 hinge pieces, plates, and you're golden. And you got yourself a monorail station on the inside platform. So for reinforcement, because this thing is underneath a little bit of tension, because there it is loose, and you have to pull it together to there, right? So that's a little more tension that, you know, I don't know if it's illegal. I'm not going to ask Lego for a ruling on that, but you have to pull them together. And so what I do is, I don't just use 36 hinge plates. I use 72. I use 36 on the top and 36 on the bottom. So that keeps it perfect. and then 36 3x4 slopes, 36 2x3 slopes, a couple tiles, a couple grill tiles, there in the bottom. Basically the same thing except inverted. 2 per piece, so 72 3x2 inverted slopes, and then a 2x2 inverted slope, and then a yellow plate on the bottom. Then with all the wing plates and with all the hinge plates, this thing is heavy. It's pretty heavy because you have to build 36 of them. So this thing itself, basically not half the weight of this. This thing is light. This thing is twice as heavy. This thing, it composes of one landing pad that's held in place by these tiles all the way around on the 4 sides. So it's there, and mine's not falling out because there's wiring underneath to keep it there. And then I tried to make the bottom as cool as possible considering the dynamic of this thing. So I just put the 2x plates to hold all my 8x8 grill plates together. I love these plates, 8x8s, they're fun. And then we'll zoom in real close again. The entire distribution support is Technic beams. And there's 6 across Technic beams. And they go from the diamond out to here, and they stop because that's all I needed. I needed to get to the center to hold this thing. After that, it just goes down to a 2, and that just holds to the end here. So this is later on this side. It's already starting to fall apart. And like here, so, but the thrust, the support structure had to get to the center of the landing pad, and then these little flying buttresses, or whatever I call them, these little supports coming out to hold the whole landing pad together. And this set of Technic beams is held to the other row of Technic beams, which are 2 plates above it. So it's a brick, plate, brick. And these Technic beams are held together by this guy here. You can see that guy there who holds them together. And there used to be another one on this end. I just didn't need it because it's not strong enough. It doesn't need it. It does. I mean, it's not supported. It doesn't need to be supported. The other thing I did is I left. I don't know if I can get this thing. No, it's not going to bother. On the top row of Technic bricks, I left the center 2 at the middle here. I left them out because I wanted to put my lifelike bricks in there. So there's a 8 stud void in the middle here on the top row of Technic beams, just so I could put my lifelike bricks there. But this is strong enough, and you can see I use friction pegs all the way through to hold all the beams together. So it's strong enough. If this is all I wanted, and I can dull that up, I mean, I can put these guys back on for crying out loud, like if I wanted to, right? Make it stupid light again, and there'd be no issue at all. And these things would be perfectly horizontal. They would not droop at all because there's no weight to them. It's adding this thing. This is the weight, but this is what makes it look cool. So I say it's better to look good than to feel good. And you look marvelous. I love Billy Crystal. Absolutely marvelous. So that's why the landing pads droop. It's not the spaceships. The spaceships are relatively light. The spaceships don't add to the droop. They might add a little bit to the droop, but it's this thing here, this weight, this monstrous weight here. And again, I could take away the bottom, or I could take away the top. I could do something to remove a lot of the pieces, because again, the 4x9 wing plates, not that heavy, just 36 of them, and with the 1x4 hinge plates, put that on there and be done. But then it looks like it's unfinished. This thing right here makes it look like it's finished, so that's why I do it that way. And so I live with the weight of this thing, and overall, it's not getting any worse. It hasn't broken. I haven't broken any bricks yet, so that's a win. The other thing you will notice, and right here, is that I have 2x2 inverted slopes all the way around until here, and it's out there and there and there, and that's the 45-degree marks, because I didn't want to cut the base plate, and that's these corners here. These corners, and let's put the whole thing back together now, and I'll show you. These corners have to be accommodated for. And put these out a little bit. I remember doing this all the time for every show because this is how I would store them, but I haven't done it in a while, so I'm gonna have to see if I can put this thing back together nicely. Put these on first, remember doing that, I think. And then these guys are the last thing to get done. And let's go push that down. Yep, that's working. Hey, it's almost like I knew what I was doing. That goes in there. That goes there. There we go. So the issue, of course, is the base plates there, and the studs interfere with these guys. But on the 90 degrees, they're perfectly fine there, and you can see here that they're perfectly flat. And I put tiles here at the edge because this from here to here is 34 studs, and the base plate's only 32. So you have to have a filler here, here on the end, and I just use tiles and grill tiles to make it look cooler. But on the edge, on the circle edges, the studs of the base plate are pushing up on the wing plates. There's nothing you can do about it, and overall, nobody notices. So you could lower it by a plate, but then you'd have a gap. I didn't want that either. So overall, I live with this here. I live with these 1, 2, 3, 4, and with the sitting on top of the studs. And so it's not bad. And if you're careful, you can hold it upside down. See if I can do it without it falling off, because it's held at the 90 degrees. That's how the circle's held on. All 4 90-degree spots is held on by a bunch of studs. So I was going to talk about the corner of the plates, and you can see the landing pad right there, and so it fits right in between these two, where I would normally have a 2x2 inverted slope. I put a 1x2 inverted slope and then a 1x1 brick, and that fits perfectly right in the middle. So it almost touches the 2x3 inverteds. But overall, who cares? Nobody notices that. When you put the yellow in there, nobody notices it. People will notice one of these yellow bricks fall off, one of these yellow plates fall off. And I've had a few times where the 2x2 inverted piece just comes off in the box and say, hey, you're missing a piece, because they notice that immediately, because they look around the circle, they see all the yellow. And even I had to put the yellow here because somebody noticed that. Like there's no inverted slope there at all. This is the connector from this cull-up piece to the edge. And so this is, you can see it's all connected down there and studded in to the 4x9 wing plate. And I had a 2x3 plate there to hold it there. And they said, you're missing yellow. So I put it in. I changed it to a 2x2 plate, blue plate, and a yellow 1x2. So the yellow would be all the way around, because I like it. I didn't even think about it. I honestly, when I finished building it, because the blue comes down and it goes right to there. It's all blue all the way through. That's fine. Nope. Somebody mentioned it. So I changed it. I came home from that show and I said, oh, okay, I'll just change it to, because it's not structural. That 2x3 plate isn't structural, because again, the beam, the Technic beam ends there. I didn't want the Technic beam going to the brick, because it's one plate above the brick, because of all the stuff that happens over here, right? So that's the Technic beam is not level with the inverted brick. So I didn't want that coming there, because then it'd be a step that people would notice. So that's why I stopped that beam from going 3 studs more. So that's it. It's 3 studs more to the edge. 3 studs more to the edge there. 3 studs more to the edge there. Again, this is cookie cutter. This is me. This is how I do things. Like 36 of these. They're all identical, basically. 3 of these are all identical, basically. And then 4 of these whole structures. So again, when I CAD'd the layout, overall it was pretty easy. Like I just had to build 1/4 of it and just copy and paste it 3 more times, because again, this was symmetrical all the way around. So, and I did build it in the same units, the same structures that I have in the layout, where it has the same seams, it has the same joints, the same put together. So the 4 units at the bottom, the 4 pieces, the 4 modules at the bottom, the diamonds by itself, the landing pads are by themselves. So I built all those separately, separate CAD files, and then there's one CAD file that brings them all together. And then I added just these yellow things to make it, because people noticed the bottom, and in a darker room, because again it's upside down, it's dark underneath. I didn't want it to look bleh, like a dark spaceship on a black background, you know. So I added those 5 yellow things, and I also put the yellow, black, yellow there. I I don't like it now, but I liked it then. So I thought, oh, I gotta put the yellow, black, yellow there. The only reason I is because it's yellow, black, yellow. That's all I did right there. I don't like it now. So, but I'm not taking the 4 landing pads apart just to get rid of the yellow, black, yellow there. Because it's only on the front facing side. So this is the back that connects to the diamond. So it's only on this side. It's not on this side. It's only on this front side, which is okay because there's a landing pad there all the way around. So people, if they notice it, nobody's pointed that out yet, by the way. Nobody said, ooh, you got the yellow, black, yellow there. Nobody said that. I put it there just for reasons. And yet now I'm regretting it. So, so it is what it is. Could I rebuild these things better? I'm sure I could. I honestly sure I could, because again, this is 2011 when I did this guy like this, and then the very next show I had this guy, and so a lot of work went in between those 2 iterations of the tower. I think that was the biggest iteration change between one show and the other show, was going from that base plate to this base landing pad. There have been other bigger iterations, but not noticeable, because I rebuilt the entire tower from floor to top probably at least 3 times now, because I had to run the wiring. So I built the entire tower ad hoc and changed landing pads, whatever, cake toppers, whatever, and then I was finished, and then I had to go put the wiring in, which for me, I had to take almost to the brick, take the whole thing apart and run the wires. And the biggest thing for that was the diamond, because the diamond doesn't have a nice place to hide the wiring. So the diamond was basically taken apart at least 4 or 5 times, because again, changing the landing pad connectors, I changed those 3 times now. So again, the original landing pad had the light landing pad pieces on it. They were easy to remove. Only had a set of 2 Technic beams going out there. When I got to the big pads, they were built into the diamond, so that's the second iteration. The third iteration was the landing pads are out and the landing pads are removable, but I didn't like the connector that kept them together, so I rebuilt it, redesigned the entire thing. So the connectors, and this is really quick. Let's see if I can show you. So back here is the top. I'll show you the top row of the Technic beams. The top Technic beams. It goes 6 studs in, and then there's plates, 2 thick, for 2 studs. So it's a 2x2 plate there, and then it goes to the bottom. So the connector on the diamond, of course, is the inverted. And so there's it has the bottom part sticking out farther than the top part, and you just rest this on there and you click it down. And I didn't bother putting plates in between, because it's not the plates that are holding it together. It's these 4 studs here that hold it together, and the 4 studs here that hold it together. The rest of it is like when they say in engineering, you can have a truss going across from one thing to the other thing. The center part just needs some webbing in the middle, but it doesn't, because it's not under compression, it's not under tension. I think that's it, because it's in the middle, the top part's compressed, or the top part's under tension, the bottom part's compressed, the middle part isn't. So I didn't have to have anything from here back. So the 4 studs there and the 4 studs there. So there's 4, 8, 12, 16 studs holding the landing pads to the diamond. Now, not just 16 studs though. I left these Technic holes right here in the end, and the one on the diamond empty. So I push a plug that I made out of 8L axles, is push them through it, and it's held by a vertical 3L whatever, those pieces from. Oh, I'll get it right here. I'll build one really quickly, because hey, I'm here. Why not make the video longer? So. Before I just used a regular 8L axles, but I found now that they have these heads on them. This is what I use, just a plug, and it goes straight through. So Sandy has to hold on to the other side of the tower so it doesn't fall over, because then I put one on, then the whole thing's lopsided. So I just push that through like that, and it just locks it to the the part that juts out of the diamond. And that's it. That's honestly, you pull this part out, the landing pad's falling off. Now, I have tested it that if you don't shake it and you push the studs together, that this thing will stay on without this piece. But I don't trust that at all, because you put any weight in there, it's going to fall down, and then you're going to not just lose the landing pad, you're going to lose the Galaxy Explorer, and I don't want to lose Galaxy Explorers. So, and whatever's underneath, like this thing's going to go straight down and smash into whatever's underneath, and then that's mayhem and destruction and people running around, whatever. So I visualize this stuff in universe. How does it work in universe? So the landing pads have to be structurally stable, and when all 4 landing pads are on the tower is stupid heavy. It's not going anywhere. You can hit the table, unless you're really stupid and hit it really hard. The tower's not going to fall over. What is going to happen is the very top of the cake topper, which is not glued, will flop over, and then you have to fix that. And then it's very hard for me to reach up to it because it's on top of the box. It's taller than me, and I have to fix that. So I try not to knock the layout at all, because the cake topper is 2x2 studs, and that stupid little tower part with all the antennas on it, and it flops over a lot. So I should do something about that. But anyway, when the landing pads are 4 of them are on, I have no worries in the world, because again, the diamond, and this is going to go into that. Where's my picture? The diamond, and you can see there's this gray line right there in the diamond. That is the seam between the diamond and this landing pad level, this monorail station level, and all it is tiles. So this thing is sitting on top of tiles, no studs at all. There's no studs connecting when you put all the pieces together. There are no studs connecting one level to the next level. The only thing I do is on the outermost part, I put the tiles 1 plate above, so it can't slide horizontally. But you push it, it's going to go over. So many times. And the other thing is that previously it didn't matter, because I had the 7.5 by 10 foot layout, and this thing was dead center. So you could not be under this tower doing something and lift your head up and smack into a landing pad. But landing pad number 4, and yes, I do number them, landing pad number 4 is the one that juts out to the back of the layout, and now the tower is on the edge of the back of the layout, so the landing pad extends over the edge. And so what happens though, when I go down and I'm doing, because that's where all the plugs are, and I always consistently, I stand up and consistently I hit my head on the back landing pad. So far, no major damage so far, but sooner or later I'm gonna knock the tower over. Guaranteed. But anyway, but the landing pads are heavy, so it really doesn't go anywhere. But anyway, that's the nuts and bolts of how I did this. And as I say, it feels heavy. It's heavy now. So there's a lot of brick in a landing pad. But my feeling is it looks cool. So, and it really does it looks cool. You don't see this in Lego creations. Nowadays, you see beautiful, wonderful things, Greebles and Snot and all the other stuff. Like I saw some spaceships at the show this weekend were just gorgeous, and they had really funky angles coming together. And I'm going, just wow. These builders these days, just wow. Like I remember Jeff's hockey rink spaceship was just gorgeous, and he got some really funky angles in that thing too. I can't build that way. It's not who I am. I'm a brick kind of guy. I might try to do something like that at some point. But even this, with the roundness to it, there's no studs. I mean, there's no snot here. It's all brick, plate, brick, plate, brick, all the way up. And yes, it's round. But even these pieces individually is brick, plate, brick. So it is what it is. That's how I build. So but it looks cool, and I'm happy with it. Now the other thing is, and I tried a little bit. I didn't put a lot of effort into it, but I have a whole bunch of 4x9s in white, and I was starting to make the primary hull of the Enterprise. And it's almost the scale, I believe, if you use the 4 by 4x6 or 4x4x5 half, or 2x4x5 half cylinder, and then I got a bunch of white ones. And for the nacelles, the nacelles, the nacelles, whatever people want to call them, the engines. And so I was trying to build a TOS Enterprise using this method for the primary hull, because a lot of people do either brick built and just angle it all the way around. I haven't seen too many people, I don't think I've seen anybody use this method to build a primary hull for the Enterprise. I think it'd be cool. My issue is that I can't do a secondary hull. So I said, I'm not going to bother. So if somebody else comes up with it, knock yourself out, because I think this would make a fantastic primary hull idea. Again, you wouldn't use a base plate inside. You would just use these things, and then somehow get the little saucer section with the nice little curves going up to the bridge and stuff in decks 2 and 3, where the science department is. See, I know my Star Trek, because we're talking TOS, not TNG, not the refit. TOS, decks 2 and 3 on the blueprints, and I have the blueprints. Science. So 4 or 5 crew quarters, 5 Kirk's crew quarters are right up here, if I remember correctly. It's been a while. So, and Spock was on the other side of the hallway. I just loved those blueprints. 1973. I think I can probably dig them out somewhere and show them to you. Not in this video, because I'm not too many tangents. But I adore TOS Enterprise. I adore all the refits and all the remakes, and Strange New Worlds is just a gorgeous ship, which is a cross between TOS and the movies 1 through 6. Because really quick tangent, TOS Enterprise versus TOS Enterprise. I'm going to make a video one day of showing you the non-Lego in this room. That's very, very important to me. TOS Enterprise versus the refit motion picture through Star Trek 6. It honestly vacillates between which one's my favorite, and I might have mentioned this before. It does come down to nostalgia. TOS, 4 years old. I mean, that's hard to beat, but for sheer beauty and substance, and the first time you actually got to see it where it looked like it was in space, and yes, a lot of people can't stand the motion picture, but to me it's one of the most visually stunning movies ever made, period. And for science fiction, it's 2001 had some fantastically awesome scenes for 1968 in it that made it look like space and stuff like that, and they tried to follow what people like, no sound in space and all that stuff, which I really appreciate. But the motion picture will always hold a special place in my heart for how they treated the Enterprise. And yes, it's long and boring for a lot of people. I just throw it at me. Just, yes, they call it starship porn. Just throw it at me. Absolutely. It was so stunning. And I get why the rest of the movies, they cut it down to nothing, and they kind of make fun of it and lower decks and all that stuff. But I adore the refit Enterprise and 1701A. But anyway, I'd rather make a TOS out of Lego than the refit. Somebody made a refit out of Lego, and it's beautiful. I can't remember who did it, and but he did a fantastic. He also made the Kelvin Line Enterprise, fantastically done. Although as my least favorite starship is the Kelvin Enterprise, and it doesn't look bad, but it don't look great. Close to that would be C, that we saw in yesterday's Enterprise, which is okay. B is the Excelsior, and I just was disappointed by that, because I never liked the Excelsior as the Enterprise. I like the Excelsior as the Excelsior, and it showed up a bunch of times. But the Excelsior as the Enterprise, no. But that's fine. D, I hated on the pilot. I couldn't stand it. I could not stand D. Big D. I did not like it at all. I'm going, oh my God, what's Roddenberry thinking? Why would he even sign off on this? After 7th series of TNG, I loved D. I really started appreciating the substance and the form of NCC 1701D, and so it's in my top 5, easily in top 5. E, a lot of fans love. A lot of fans love the Sovereign class Starship. It's below D for me. it's not C, but it's okay. I can understand why they went that way, because it's really cool. It's a really cool looking starship, but it looks like the Excelsior ish. So it's like, no. I don't know. F, we're gonna have a look see soon, I guess. J, that they showed in, I can't remember. Me. So whatever. It's TOS and the refit for me. And I might try again to build TOS out of Lego, because I've had this idea for a decade or more now, to do that. I used to build it out of just like 2x4 bricks. My brother Brian and I would build the Enterprise and the Klingon Warbird out of not the Warbird, the D7, out of Lego, and just have a great time in the house. House with the Enterprise, and it was just brick, and 2x2s going out to the nacelles, and like a 2x8 for a nacelle. That's what we did. So, but yeah, Star Trek. Anyway, too many tangents already because of my first time back. 45 minutes. I don't want to go to an hour. This is it. The entire build of this guy. If you have any more questions about what I did here, let me know and I'll try to explain it more. But it's quote unquote simple. There's a lot of repetitive building. You need to make 36 of these pieces. And the bottom is also pretty standard. There's again no greebling, no fancy stuff, no fancy pieces besides the actual base plate. Like everybody should have all these pieces. Again, this was Bricklink orders, absolutely 100% Bricklink orders, because there's no way I would have had 36 3x4. I would have had 36 of those, but I wouldn't have had 200. And forget that, like the entire, I mean, the habitat and this guy and like everything else, like I can't even, I would like to say at least 500 3x4 blue slopes, at least 500. And then the 2x3s I ran out, and then the grill plates I ran out. The bottom, yeah, the 2x3s inverted, definitely, because they're 72, right? Because they don't come with a 3x4, they're only 2x3. So I definitely had a huge Bricklink order for those guys back in the day. The other thing is on the end, really quick, just to show you. So this is a 2x4 plate. There's the 4x9 wing plate, and there's the 2x4 plate. And just on the other side, I'll see if I can pop it off easy, because this is kind of important. This is like the David and Goliath episode when he's building the go-kart. Something you should know that didn't convey in the actual video. Oh, this is an older one. This is only 1x4. So this is the 1x4 plate, and then the hinge plates are this way. They go up and then back down. Don't do that. Just go all the way around. It's a 2x. Just go 1x4 this way, and then just put a 2x4 plate there. It's much easier, much less parts intensive, because now you have to put a 1x4, a 2x2 plate, and then the hinge pieces. Just put a 2x4 here, and just have the hinge pieces have to be 3 studs back. That's where the hinge has to be, 3 studs back, between studs 3 and 4 back there. If you take this off, you can see. Gets light on it. So there's the hinge plate there. It's between studs 3 and 4 right there. You can do it between 2 and 3, but it's going to be very loose. Too loose. So 3 and 4, not 4 and 5, because you'll never be able to do that. But between studs 3 and 4, and just go this way with the 1x4 instead of like everything's up and down like a zigzag, because you will save parts and pieces and time. So I built this one probably first. All the rest of them I did the other way. That's left over. Sorry, quick tangent. That method of building it that way is left over from these guys. The 16, the using the 4x8 wing plates, the 16 stud, 16 to make a circle, 16 pieces. Because I use the 1x4 hinge bricks in here. And I had, well, I didn't have to, but I did go up and or back and forth instead of straight across, because these are workstations and they had to be empty. So, and on the 4x8, I did another video about that. You have to go out 2 more studs, whatever, in order for it to work, to get these cockpits going for the windows. So the whole thing worked by just going, instead of just going straight across with the hinge plates, is that you go out and in all the way across, like a zigzag all the way across, because then you have the space in between the 2 studs in between where you could put a workstation and or a chair or whatever you wanted to put in there, a phone booth, which I did in a few places. So anyway, I'm not going to go into that right now. It's already been too long, 50 minutes. I want everybody out there to stay safe. I missed you. I missed making videos for you. I hope everything's well out there in your world. And that's it. I'll talk to you guys soon. All the best.